Okay, October 17th, planning board meeting is now open. First thing on our agenda is a public hearing that was continued for Lot 10 Forge River Park site plan. And if the applicant can state his name for the record.
George Turner, 2 T's Realty Trust.
Okay, thank you. We've, well, I guess let's bring us up to date. What are we waiting on? What were we waiting on?
We were waiting for a letter from the fire department, which I believe you received.
We did receive that, yep.
From Captain Lucivita. We wrote it December 25th. And I think we were waiting for Billy Rosa to meet with Burke on some legal definitions, I guess, which I believe has been done.
Do we have that plan, Maureen? Can we, as if we...
I think I have the right.
Fred, did you have any correspondence? I know we have a letter from Bill Rosa, but that's not really a certificate.
This one's revised through September 6th.
He's just given...
Giving us ideas on what to say.
Yeah. So...
October 4th. All right, I gotta get downstairs.
I have it right here.
Oh, okay.
If we can have John, now that we have town planner, we can have John prepare the certificate of action. He could use that, and that can be upon the, whatever decision is.
I discussed it with him, I read over what he said.
Okay.
All right. Some modifications he was supposed to make, didn't make them. Okay, he added all that stuff on.
Now, we're gonna need more, is this all the same plan, or is?
That plan is mine, but he delivered
All right, let me get downstairs and get one.
October, early October.
Yeah, why don't you grab all those so we have them?
Half a dozen steps.
Now, the legal, just for everybody on the board, the legal aspects, we asked Mark Antime for his legal opinion. We are, as I guess we understand that it's coming.
I'm meeting with him and Roger Stolte early next week on Monday morning. We're meeting Monday morning at 10:30 in the planning department downstairs.
He has been working on it, and,
Sometime.
you know, we can only ask. So he has been working on it. I know.
Well, in fairness, it could very well be there is no yes or no answer to this.
Oh,
I don't care how much he works on it, I thought that right up front. That this was-
Well, there never is when you get lawyers involved, is there?
well, and like I said, it's
No, I know when I looked at it, I agree with you, Bert.
with what, you know, you think it's clear cut, and it says what it says, and I guess we'll have to see what town council tells us. But I think at this point, like we all discussed, we're looking at it as a subdivision. We're looking at it as a site plan review, and if it meets, you know, all of our criteria, then
This reminds me of the subdivision that Brennan represented, somebody who had an easement, and Mr. Brennan's client, didn't want the subdivision to go through because he had an easement through it and everything. And, we approved the subdivision, and they went off to court, and they went all the way to the SJC arguing about it, but it wasn't our problem.
But just on that, Bert, for the subdivision, we're here just to approve site plan alone.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So the subdivision, which would prove this, which would, I thought of this after, when we say, oh, the roadway's adequate, we don't do that through the site plan process. So this would have to actually be filed, I think, as a subdivision, I would believe, if it was to say the roads get adequate. In other words, we approve the site plan, he goes to get a permit, is on his own, but when we had mentioned saying that we feel the road's adequate, that's not really part
Well,
of site plan.
this is already
review.
part of a subdivision, an approved subdivision.
Yeah.
right? So, we've
And I-
we've already said that.
And that's the problem. It's part of an approved subdivision. The roadway is part of a plan, it just hasn't been built. That's the issue.
Well, and I think we're within our rights to tell him as part of the site plan that he has to bring it up to our
And-
standards.
And I think that's what, up to this point, that's what we have. I think we've come to a reasonable decision on what improvements need to be made in order to access the piece of property. It's not to today's standards, but it is to, I think, what we feel is adequate for a 4,000 square foot commercial building. And it would be up to the applicant to decide that he continues looking for the town to find an answer to go forward and do that, or just go ahead and, but again, that's something we discussed before, once you go to the building department, and you understand that part. So I think I had requested the letter from the fire department, we have that. The changes on the plan, they had,
Yeah. Now, I see Bill's Rosa's certificate of action.
no,
That
that's,
isn't
that's,
anything.
no, that's not a
That's
certificate
not
of
a
action.
certificate of action, as far as I'm concerned. either.
John's gonna use that for information, because Burke discussed it with Attorney Rosa, so I guess I had mentioned to John, as soon as he does prepare it, to send it to you for review. And so, with that said, again, whatever decision is made, the certificate of action will be, those are just points that he's gonna add to it.
So he's got 20 days to craft it.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. John said he can do it, he'll start working on it tomorrow. So, do we have, are there waivers?
There's waivers. I reviewed them and previously given Todd Pilling what waivers he needed. I don't think we had any problem with them, but I'd make a motion that we grant waivers as listed on the front sheet of the site plan dated, revised through October 4th for 2T's Realty Trust. Is there a title on this thing? Locus and Zoning District Plan. Well, each sheet has a different title. Existing Conditions Plan. That's not the good way to do it, but he doesn't really have a title on it. Each sheet has a different title.
Well, what is the,
It's just a site plan for map 14, plot 2420. Oh, no, that's a O. That's an N, so that
what's
must be
the
a O.
application say?
I don't have it. But each sheet has a different, instead of putting site plan for such and such, which, I guess I'm missing something.
Well, these are the plans that you
Yeah,
have.
no, each sheet has a different plan.
It doesn't really have the title.
Doesn't have a title?
Well, it's a site plan that consists of a 4-sheet set revised through
Could be
October
written a little
4th.
better, but each one references 152 Ford River Parkway, Raynham, Mass. So we probably should have a line above that or something. in reference to-
Should have had site plan,
Could've been a
assessors map or something. Usually, most of the time you put a title on a plan.
But lower right, you have sheet 1 of 4, 2 of 4.
Yeah, but
3 of
each sheet-
4, 4 of
each sheet
4
has a
with,
different-
The
yeah.
JN 2347
Yeah.
number, so.
I'll get to it. But it's a 4-sheet plan, which is a site plan for assessors map 14, plot 2420, Forge River Parkway, prepared for 2T's Realty Trust, revised through October 4th. And the motion would be to grant the waivers as listed on the front sheet. Waivers are from specifically section 4.10, 4.15, 4.20, 4.21, 4.22, 5.12, 5.15, 5.4, and 6.0.
Motion was made.
Second.
Any discussion for allowing the waivers? All in favor?
And then I'd make a motion, we grant site plan approval to the aforementioned plan, because I don't want to go through that again.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. So we have approved the site plan with the waivers and the conditions that we previously had on. Now, did we have a list of conditions that we
I don't think there really was any. It was pretty standard, simple design.
had the fire department, which we already have the letter.
Fire department letter and that,
Standard conditions, review fund, and bills paid.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. And then John would craft up a certificate of action to be, I guess, looked at our next meeting. Is our next meeting?
It's not till November 7th, but I'll have something drafted.
Well, again, you're gonna send it to, you're gonna,
Mr. Burke and,
What's
Burke and I
our time for that?
can get it fleshed out before. it
We
comes
need
back.
something.
you're gonna, yeah, she has a blank he's gonna sign just so we can extend it.
Right, it's only through the end of October right now.
Right. And again, it's not for any decisions, it's just so we can get the certificate of action.
We've acted on the site plan, we just have to formally act through the
Did
certificate of
you,
action.
So we'll extend it for another month.
Yeah.
okay, so that's with standard conditions. Good luck.
Thank you.
Sorry for the delays, but
Yeah, well, it is what it is. It's not over yet, until the building goes up.
Maureen, do you have the fire department's letter in the file, just so we have that?
I do, yes. When are you sending that out to? November 30th?
Yeah, because we have 2 meetings in, oh, do we have 2 meetings in November?
Yeah, because Thanksgiving's on the 28th this year, so we'd have meetings on the 7th and the 21st.
When are we continuing this to?
You can do
Seven.
To November 7th?
Well, we voted on it, we're just gonna sign the certificate of action, it isn't.
Hearing's done and voted on, it's just for the,
Go to the 30th to the 30th or something.
Yeah, just do another month, make it nice and double month. And that way if a snag comes up for
December
some
1st
reason.
if you want.
We're going, on 7th, we're going to sign,
Yeah.
to sign.
everything will be ready to...
COAs.
Yep.
And do we have a time to do that, or just?
No.
No, we're just throwing on the general business.
Maureen, I will not be here on the 7th.
On the 7th? Okay.
New Orleans?
Hoping.
Yeah, really.
You're going to New Orleans? I'm going Wednesday. You're supposed to give me a restaurant too. If
Well,
you-
you're tough to pick
I know.
restaurants.
I said something not spicy.
In New Orleans?
Yeah.
Okay.
He just laughed at me over the phone. He didn't think I knew, but I know.
Do you have all of the public hearings that we're having?
Do I need those?
We gotta-
I'm sorry, what? Oh, you have the
Public hearing
public
notice.
hearings in there.
Thank you.
All right, very good, thank you.
Did you find it or you want me to?
Okay,
And no, I have enough.
next on the agenda, we have public hearings for proposed amendments to the Raynham zoning bylaw.
And, Mr. Chairperson,
This on these?
here's the actual
No,
town meeting
marijuana.
warrant that
Oh,
actually
marijuana.
has the article numbers that go along with
That's
that.
in our file, right?
So the first one would be 22, 23, then they split up the definitions and the text of the medical marijuana into 24 and 25, and the moratorium extension would be 26, so those are the numbers that apply to.
So can you circle those for me, so
Sure.
Chris has something to go by?
Should I read the whole thing?
Well, I think,
You can waive the reading.
You can amend just by adding this definition, amend by this. Just read the first sentence of each
So
one.
so if we go in this order, it starts with the basically simple, the two very simple amendments.
Okay, public meeting notice in accordance with provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 5, Raynham Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, October 17th, 2013, 6:05 PM at Raynham Veterans Memorial Town Hall, 558 South Main Street, to consider the following amendments to the Town of Raynham zoning bylaws. Amend Article 10, definitions, debilitating, add the following definitions: debilitating medical condition, marijuana, marijuana for medical use, marijuana, medical marijuana, treatment center, qualifying patient. Amend by deleting section 6.1.3, temporary moratorium on the establishment and permitting of medical marijuana treatment centers and associated activities relative to ballot question 3, and by adding the following use to section 7.4, special uses authorized by special permit as a special permit use within the industrial district, medical marijuana treatment center in industrial district, section 1, purpose and intent 2, location 3, any medical marijuana treatment center shall comply with 105 CMR 725 in its entirety and note inexclusive. Amend section 6.13, temporary moratorium on the establishment and permitting of medical marijuana treatment centers and associated activities relating to ballot question 3, sections A, B, C, D, E, and F inclusive. Amend section 6.6.8, signs not requiring permits, by adding the following: K, temporary municipal school and Raynham-based nonprofit organization signs advertising municipal schools and nonprofit events. Signs shall not exceed 6 square feet, shall not be erected more than 45 days before the event, and shall be moved within 5 days after the event. Amend section 4.1.1, permitted uses, residential A district, by adding the following sentence at the end of section D: excluded from the definition of foul, and this one doesn't have to do with marijuana.
Well, a lot of those didn't.
The previous ones
Oh,
did
okay.
not.
No, the previous one.
And then amend section
Signs.
4.1.1, permitted uses, residential A district, by adding the following sentence at the end of section D: excluded from the definition of fowl are roosters, peacocks, and/or guinea hens, or take any other action relative thereto. A complete copy of the proposed amendments and the Raynham zoning bylaws are available for viewing at the Raynham Town Clerk's Office, 558 South Main Street, during usual scheduled business hours. Any person wishing to be heard or interested in the proposed amendment should appear at that time and place designated. Raynham Planning Board, Daniel J. Andrade, Chairman. There are also going to be Articles 22 through 25 at
26.
through 26 at the special town meeting, which pre-town meeting is October 22nd in this room, and town meeting is at the middle school, October 29th.
Okay, thank you. So, a lot of those amendments are not specific to the marijuana one. We had a sign change, which I guess was clarification to the sign bylaw.
Are you gonna do this all in one public hearing, or are you gonna split them up, Mr. Chairman?
No, we're gonna do them all. I think
Okay.
they're on for tonight, aren't they?
Yeah.
Why, I think they should be done tonight, so they're on the next.
No, but what I mean is, the planning board is gonna vote favorable or unfavorable action on these amendments.
Mhm.
It would probably be cleaner to vote on them separately. That's what I
Exactly.
meant.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
No,
that's what I'm
no,
saying.
no,
That's what I'm
they're all individual.
Okay, that's
No,
what-
we're gonna talk about one individual, and we're gonna vote on it. So, I guess, first thing I'll do is I will turn it over to you. You're the one that had discussions with all department heads. And then after we have discussions, anybody that has questions in the audience, I will ask for
I figure what's easier to do.
questions.
What's easier to do, Dan, is to start out, go in order of the articles in the warrant.
Okay.
And the first one we have will be Article 22. This was an amendment put forward by the building commissioner in reference to the noise of roosters and peacocks and certain types of fowls. So
Okay.
that's the first amendment we have to consider tonight.
Okay, so if we vote in favor to recommend this article at the town meeting, this means that we, in a residential area, you will not be allowed to have a rooster, a what else, peacock,
Yeah. apparently
Guinea.
so.
Guinea hens.
guinea
Guinea
hens.
hens.
I just my question, why is this on the, why are we putting this on the
Well,
ballot?
usually, anytime we have something like this on a ballot, it's because somebody complained, somebody has issues.
Yes, the building commissioner got certain complaints about roosters.
And he's the zoning enforcement officer, so I'm sure,
So this is from our building?
Yes.
yes, he's the one that's putting this forward.
Okay. Board of Selectmen, did they have any input on this?
That's a good, I'm not sure if they did.
I'll make a motion that we recommend approval to the town meeting.
It was recommended, seconded for discussion.
Mr. Freeman's always had peacocks.
Yeah.
My concern with having more bylaws on restricting everything under the sun, I think it's, I would hope if there's a neighbor that has an issue with another neighbor, that they can discuss it. Are we gonna start picking what we don't like in the animal dictionary?
I mean, we should add vampires to the list?
Well,
Well, you
I
impose
mean, we
on
have peacocks,
people's rights.
peacocks down on, across from the school, that,
Freeman's were always had the peacocks.
I mean, the peacocks, for instance, I went to the school.
Rosina's used to have them always, when I worked over at the farm.
I'm not sure if
I mean, I was
there's,
gonna ask, right, roosters, I understand they're loud first thing in the morning, but I never heard of guinea hens and peacocks being a problem.
so I'm just not sure. Is there, how do we do it as the zoning enforcement officer? He has, what authority does he have when a neighbor's complaining that somebody's rooster is crowing?
I guess it's similar to another type of noise violation, a nuisance violation, where, he has the right to follow up
Okay,
on it.
so he already has something in place.
Yeah, but when he goes to court, if he has something specific, it's much easier to get compliance than just proving that the rooster is violating the noise statute that we have.
Well,
Does the
which is
rooster
rather
come in and
than-
leg
Is
arms and
Or is
trickles?
it animal control officer? Who's in
Hostile
charge?
witness?
I had a neighbor with a rooster.
Russ had a
I was
question.
gonna say the
They
same
don't
thing,
like
that
that.
we already have some kind of noise bylaw, you can't make noise, please.
In a residential area, do we
Yeah.
have, is there a limit? How many chickens can you have in a residential area? There must be a limit. Maybe it'd make more sense to have a limit than
Yeah.
restrict them 100%.
That's a Board of
I
Health
don't-
issue.
Yeah, I don't think we have limits on stuff like that.
No, there is, that's the
So
Board of Health.
Board of Health?
the board has, the board doesn't just have to vote favorable or non-favorable action. The board can vote further study on this. You can refer it back to the sponsor for further study. That's an option you have.
Oh, we
To say,
do?
listen, we don't totally disagree with this, but like you said, Dan, we're wary of where this might lead and where this is going, and like,
Well, I think that's my concern. Myself, I'm not in favor of just saying, yes, let's have another bylaw, and let's take this out.
Is there any input from people outside?
I don't know, does anybody have input on chickens or roosters?
You got nothing to crow about?
Right.
That was a Marcia.
I'm too chicken to say anything.
So,
I shouldn't have started her.
She doesn't want egg on her face.
yeah, so, and
Killing them.
I guess the big thing, right in my own neighborhood on Lorden Road, one of the neighbors has chickens, had a rooster crowing away, and one of the other neighbors complained, went over to her and said, geez, it's kind of annoying. So they got rid of one, they still have the chickens, they still have, I don't know what else they got back there, but.
Well, there are many towns and cities that, well, first of all, many people are having chickens, even in cities up on the roof or
Right.
whatever, because they want the fresh eggs, they want the organic, they want the, and then people started introducing roosters. And then towns and cities have banned the roosters because they're so noisy. And I don't know whether or not they put restrictions on the number of chickens. And I don't have a problem with the rooster one. It seems to be pretty widespread throughout the country.
Can I just ask you a question? Since seem to know about this, what about peacocks and guinea hens? Are they noisy?
Well,
Why are
I don't know where that came from.
I spoke-
why are they in here?
I spoke to the town administrator briefly, and he seemed to think that peacocks, yeah, can be pretty noisy.
I used to hear the Freemans at night,
Peacock?
All right, well,
but it didn't.
I guess the
here and
motion,
there, but
the motion was made and
Others.
seconded for discussion. I would like to see it go back to the,
Why don't we then discuss it, deny my motion and make his motion?
I would.
Move the question, move the motion.
So the motion's moved, and we're gonna refer it back to zoning enforcement officer.
Deny my motion, and then make another motion for further study.
Okay, I vote no on Henry's motion. Well, it didn't get seconded, did it get
Yeah,
seconded?
it got seconded for discussion, so,
I vote no.
so Henry's motion was made and seconded. All in favor of Henry's motion? No.
No,
No.
There was
no,
unanimous.
now we need another motion. How
Was
did
no.
you phrase that, Sean?
The board can vote to refer the article back to the sponsor for further study.
So
Okay.
moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, next.
Article 23. This is one that was crafted by the town administrator on behalf of the Board of Selectmen. It basically adds a category of sign that wouldn't require a building permit, but put certain stipulations on it when a school or a municipal event is happening. I believe it's for schools. That the municipal, school, or Raynham-based nonprofit organizations, when they have an event, say they're having a school play, that they have the right to put up a temporary sign for that event with certain stipulations without needing a building permit for it. They, it's like other temporary signs, it can't exceed 6 square feet, which is already a stipulation in the sign bylaw.
That's
And-
2 by 3.
Right. And cannot be erected for more than 45 days before the event and shall be removed within 5 days after the event. So it gives them ample time to, make people aware of it.
So this sign amendment is basically just for the schools.
School's not.
Yeah,
Schools,
yeah.
right here.
But it also
Maybe
includes
churches,
munis- Right, maybe
churches in there.
churches, correct.
Like the
Now,
Lions
we,
Club, not
yeah,
that
we
kind of
had,
school.
whoop, excuse me, got to shut it off. We had a new sign bylaw that was approved at the last town meeting, and this is probably cleaning up.
Yeah, I think it's
that.
nicely written. and-
Because the school
Nice
went,
cleanup.
I don't know, the school had a sign out there for a play or something, and,
Well, and they're all over the town on people's lawns anyway.
Yeah,
Little
you
signs
saw
of
those
Coil Cassidy
yeah.
everywhere.
Well,
So-
what did they say, by the way? I can't read.
It says Coil Cassidy, I can't read
It's
the
just
rest
an
of it.
advertisement for the school.
Play?
No, it's not a play, I believe it's open, it's an open house.
It's for the open house.
Yeah, it's for an open
So,
house.
all in favor of,
Actually, that wouldn't be included because it's not Rainham based.
all in
Correct.
favor of recommending this sign,
Motion made?
Aye.
He's making them.
yeah, motion is made to
Recommend favorable
recommend
action.
favorable. All in favor? Aye.
Nice.
Unanimous.
You second it?
Next.
Now, I'm going to talk about Article 24 and 25 simultaneously, because they both relate to the medical marijuana treatment center bylaw that the planning board's sponsoring. The only thing is they separate the definitions and the text between 2 articles, but really, they're joined, because if one doesn't get approved, then it's useless to have definitions for it. So, Article 24 and 25, even though they're separate in the warrant, it's really a
Okay,
package
so
deal.
we're gonna listen to it, we're gonna discuss it, and we're gonna vote on Article 24
4 and 25.
and
Is the
25.
definition set 25 then?
24 is the definitions.
So it should be the other way around, right?
Well, we can
Either way.
do both of them at the same time. Article 24 just amends the definition sections, Article 10 of the zoning bylaw to add pertinent definitions that are contained in the text of the medical marijuana bylaw for debilitating medical condition, the definition of marijuana, marijuana for medical use, medical marijuana treatment center, and qualifying patient. And all these definitions come directly from the Mass Department of Public Health. Article 25 is the actual text that the planning board developed to allow potential medical marijuana treatment centers as special permitted uses in the industrial district, which is in the northwest area of town to the west of Route 38, 138 rather, sorry. It's fairly straightforward. What the board decided was to be consistent with the Department of Public Health's setback requirements, which is 500 feet from a school, but the planning board also voted to include churches, other religious uses, childcare facilities, family, child daycare, home, park, playground, or other recreational area, any drug or alcohol rehabilitation facility, or other medical marijuana treatment centers, and that the distance shall be measured as the shortest distance between buildings or as the shortest distance between the building of the treatment center and the nearest property line of the other building in question, whichever distance is shorter. And the other stipulation is that any medical marijuana treatment center shall comply with the Department of Public Health Regulations 105 CMR 725.000 in its entirety, which for anyone who's reviewed it are pretty, very, very
So
strict.
these two, 24 and 25, just set up the thing, and then we're going to ask for a moratorium in
Well,
the next thing.
yeah, well, the thing is, after the planning board voted to sponsor this article, and I presented it to the selectmen, what happened was, one of the selectmen expressed some concern about it, came to my office in the following days and said he had been receiving phone calls of people who weren't in support of it, so he was wondering if we could come up with an alternate bylaw to complement the one that the planning board was sponsoring in a different area of town. We didn't have the time to do that because of how close to town meeting we were. It would have been too complicated to do in the time frame we had. So after speaking with Dan on the phone and hashing it over, I said, well, we have the possibility where we could request an extension of the temporary moratorium that's going to expire in November from the Attorney General's office. So that's what was decided, was to put these two, the Board of Selectmen decided to sponsor this article as a choice for voters to either consider Article 24 and 25, which would establish a special permit use, or if the town wasn't supportive of that, to go for an extension of the temporary moratorium.
Is that 25?
26. 24 is the definitions, 25 is the text of the bylaw, and 26 is the temporary moratorium. Now, none of this is guaranteed. Whatever the town decides comes with some measure of risk, even the extension of the temporary moratorium, because the Attorney General could always deny the town's
But he
extension.
He hasn't done in some of the cases.
No, not usually.
So you'd vote on all three then,
Yeah.
basically, and if you choose to, I mean, it's not like that,
We should set this up and then move.
Well, what I would recommend is that these two,
I
is
would keep them-
we deal with 24 and 25 together and then deal with 26,
Right,
because they're not the
because
same.
let's,
Okay, well, let's deal.
let me say this.
25.
We have, we've reviewed, and the board has discussed it, to put it in the industrial area. If it becomes, or if the intentions of the town wants to add additional places for this to go, then we can, and it'll go on the next town meeting.
Correct.
What was brought up was that, including the industrial, it should go over to residential.
No, the designated development down on Route
That's right, the
34.
designated development district. So the designated development district, we have two of them. We have the park,
Yeah.
which is Paramount, but we have another one that was thrown in the mix, trying to stop Walmart, is over on 138, which is,
the salmon color down on this map right there.
which, yes, so we can't, at this,
Is that the Walmart area?
that's from there all the way down to the Raynham
And
line.
the reason it became so complicated was when I spoke with town council, it wouldn't be as simple as Article 25 to do it in the designated development, because a special permitted use in that area of Paramount Drive, because Mass General Law has you have to have consistent zoning, what's good for the designated development would have to be included in
Right,
this area
so-
over here.
So,
why would you want to put it in designated development? I think we've made the right decision putting it where we're putting it.
well, wait a
Yeah,
minute.
but
The
the
designated
people-
development in Paramount, you gotta think that this could be a 30,000 square foot facility
Yeah.
for manufacturing of the marijuana,
Well, maybe you weren't here at this meeting.
maybe they'll have a storefront in the front, almost like FedEx. You go in FedEx, they got a little storefront, and they have the facility. So I thought it was a good idea to put it there.
I still think.
But it would be more
I-
complicated.
But the problem is we have this piece of designated development that's stuck on 138 that
Right.
doesn't belong there, that is gonna be part of our 138 study committee, which has been part of our 138 study committee. That should go away. And when it does, if it does, we can go back and we can say, okay, we wanna add to the area for medical marijuana
Well, yeah, and
over to
the
to
reason,
the Paramount, which is.
That'll be something
And the
that'll
reason-
happen another day.
That's,
Right.
right, that's second.
Right.
What I don't
Yeah.
want to happen is I don't want to get to the town meeting, and because we have another article on here for a moratorium, we've had all the hearings, we've have a public hearing, and if we vote this down at the town meeting, all that's gonna do is it's gonna just extend the inevitable for another 6 months, or whatever they grant us.
well, the reason the reason that the extension came up, Dan, is because,
Oh, I know why this
Oh, okay, yeah.
extension came up, but what I'm saying is, if, at the town meeting, if we turn around and this portion that we're sponsoring gets denied, and the extension gets approved,
Right.
it's an extension that we're asking for, it's not a guarantee.
right,
So I just want to make sure we put that out there, that, okay, we have, I mean, if the Raynham residents feel that industrial area, for whatever reason, absolutely, I mean, there's, bring up some good reasons for it not to be there, then okay, then let's take our chances in asking for the extension. But if it gets approved at town meeting, it doesn't mean it's guaranteed that we're going to get it. So we might be out there without a bylaw.
well, and the thing is, if Article 24 and 25 if that goes to a vote and town meeting votes it down, that's 2 years that this can't come back. That's another reason this moratorium extension was put forward, was if we're reading the tea leaves and there is genuine interest in giving voters a choice between the two areas, then we can withdraw this one for now and bring it back with an alternate bylaw in the spring, saying, okay, this area, what do the voters want?
Can I ask you a question? What do you mean by 2 years if 24?
It's
If town meeting votes it down,
zoning.
Mass General Law says that bylaw can't come back to town meeting for 2 years.
Yeah, so it's a zoning, any zoning bylaw.
All right, so we've discussed
I thought
it.
it could come back if the planning board allowed it.
You can't.
It can?
I
Actually,
think so.
Okay. If it's different,
In their
it
opinion.
has to be different.
Yeah, but in their opinion, which is pretty, you got 2 extra commas now, I think that's significant. I mean, you can, unless that's somebody
But
appears.
is there any harm in approving 24 and 25? Shouldn't we get that approved so we have it
Well,
in place?
the one scenario is if there is no moratorium extension granted, which if I was the Attorney General, I'll say, okay, I gave all you guys moratoriums to make this bylaw. You've had plenty of time. Why should I give you an extension?
Well, because Chris, when I went on,
Just to, let me finish. So, say you don't get the moratorium, which there's no guarantee. Now, every zone is open to this.
That's right.
Right.
Every
So
zone.
we don't,
So if you don't get a moratorium, someone could come in tomorrow with a medical marijuana bylaw right next to a school.
now,
Well, it's got to be in the business zone.
now, when I looked at the,
business.
when I looked at
Well,
the
there's no
attorney,
zone.
when I looked at the Attorney General's website, I found 72 communities that were given temporary moratoriums last spring of at least a year. And seven of which for 18 months. We only had a moratorium of 6 months, and we would be asking for an additional 6 months. So we would only be asking for an extension consistent with what other towns already received. That's why I have a fairly high level of confidence that if the town decided to go for an extension, they would stand a good chance of
were there
getting
any
it.
denials of 12 months or less? On the website?
I didn't look through every community.
Now, what do we
Yeah.
run until November right now?
November 8th.
All right, so the only problem with that is we have it's a possible good chance.
Right.
To me, that's like, going to a casino and rolling the
Right.
dice. I myself, I wouldn't want to open up the town to that. And that's why I say, we have this as an industrial area. We can, next year, 6 months, the next town meeting, we can add another area. can we change?
You could change, yeah. You could basically come back with an amendment in the spring to potentially remove it from this area and move it to another
As
area.
long as nobody has an
And as far as the
application.
designated development,
Correct.
you can
Okay.
change.
Correct. You could either if this area gets approved, have this and that, or.
So it makes more sense not to have ask for a moratorium for an extension. And I think myself, that's what I would ask for on the town floor. And approve this, because now at least we have something.
Yeah, so both could get approved.
Okay.
You're right.
So, we've discussed it, we've gone through the entire maps. I'm gonna open it up to the outside for input, and you can state your name for the record.
Thomas, Marcia Sylvia,
Yep.
41 Laurel Lane, North Raynham. Just a comment,
Marcia, you want to come up and speak?
oh no, I don't.
Okay, then stay there.
I did this last time. Thank you. No, just a comment, several of our neighbors have talked about this. It's like sometimes in North Raynham, we tend to be forgotten, and this is, within North Raynham. And because the potential, we may have the slots, and I'm assuming that this is up across the street, like diagonally across the street.
Industrial zone is from Ryan Iron.
Okay,
It runs all the way down into the park, into that whole area.
okay, so that's, okay.
Both sides or just one?
Just one side.
One side.
It's just on the left side going up at 138.
Yeah, it's basically Ryan and to the eastern line
Okay.
on the one
So, and
side.
the Hockomock Swamp and all that?
Yeah, it's everything on the west side of 138.
Okay. Just, if the slots come in, I'm just, and this is, I don't know anything about this, but it's just what I'm thought about was, would it not be a good, would the state look at it and say, oh, if this could go in up here, do we really want to approve the slots?
I don't think the state gets into that
See, that's-
level
I
of
don't know.
detail.
Yeah, that is our only industrial area. If you look at the whole map of Raynham,
That's the only area zoned industrial?
Correct.
In Raynham? All
Correct.
of Raynham?
Yes,
The whole town?
Yeah,
yes.
Wow.
We got rid of all the other
And
stuff.
and that is, would be the only industrial, district that would be conducive to this medical treatment? Because another thing is, and I read about this, because the federal, I know this may not be the place to say it, but the federal government doesn't recognize this, they consider it, so some places will not, the banks won't get involved with it, and would it be like a cash-only basis that you go in with just paying with a large amounts of cash? Because
that's the way it always worked buying pot when we were younger.
it's, the thing is,
Always cash.
There are no guarantees in any of this.
yeah, and again, that, I
But,
guess.
I mean, we do live up there.
Yeah, but-
Oh, yeah,
It's
it's,
consideration.
wait a minute,
And,
let's,
no,
one at a time.
Can you hear me though? I mean,
Yep.
Because I think sometimes that we feel that people do not listen to the people that live up there, because we do have a lot, it's just to listen to the concerns of people who pay the same amount of taxes that they do in the whole town. And it's just if people would just listen and not just decide to just say, okay, let's put it up there.
Okay, so now we do listen, and
I'm not saying you don't.
and that's why you're here. We don't look at individual neighborhoods when we're looking at doing something like this. We're looking at the map. So if we voted to take it out of industrial zone, then that means we have to come up with a bylaw tonight to put this in somebody's area. So where should we put this?
I'm not on the planning board, and maybe someday you'll run, I'm not sure.
Well, I'm just not sure. If we don't.
I'm here, you asked me for comment, I live here, I'm a registered voter, and I will vote at the town meeting.
Yep.
And so will other people who
Right.
come and vote. So it's just a comment, and I would just hope that you would
And-
just take it into consideration, because I have lived here all my life, John,
Mhm.
and I've worked here for the
Right.
town for many years.
And trust,
And it's
and,
just, I would hope that people would realize that there are people that live up there. There's a church. I know it's probably across the street, but it's behind where that used to be the Lutheran church.
Yeah, the
Excuse
little
me,
block
Matt.
street.
And I think one thing people what's getting lost here is just because we establish an area where these could possibly go, doesn't mean we're going to get one.
And excuse me, didn't mean we were gonna get 2 Walmarts, and we got them.
And again, if we're.
That's apples and
looking-
oranges.
We did.
Apples and oranges, because
No, it isn't, John, because it.
well, yeah, it is because,
No one ever thought
well,
we'd
Marcia,
get 2
Marcia, hold
Walmarts,
on,
and we
yes,
did.
yes, it is apples and oranges, because
No, it isn't.
the state has a minimum and maximum number of these facilities in our entire county. There's no limit on Walmarts or big box retail. The state has already stipulated that Bristol County has to have a minimum of 1, but can't have any more than 5.
But wait a minute, I would look at this, if we're being asked by the state to find an area, I wouldn't even think about not getting it. I think we have to look at it, okay, there is a good possible chance of us getting it. That's why we're here, that's why we're doing it. So, that's not even an argument, we might not get one. That, to me, that's shouldn't even be brought up for discussion. We're looking at our entire town map for a potential medical marijuana facility to, again, this isn't just for the sale of it. You could have a 30,000, a 40,000, a 15,000 square foot facility growing it. That's part of the process. So where do we put that? I'm asking, again, we look at it, we're looking at it as land. We're not looking at it as Marcia living in North Raynham.
It's not just me, dear.
No.
It's also, I understand what you say, but when I hear comments that, well, we're just gonna put it up there, you know, people get upset about that. They really do.
I think what happened in this case is you have to come up with a zone to put it in, and you have to. And so we have to look at the zones we have. We have the designated development, which is the lower area 138 in Paramount. We have
Which was
light,
where
it's
we
like a light
eventually
industrial
wanted-
zone off Pine Street on the Bridgewater Raynham line, which I guess if you didn't want one, that might not have been a bad place because it doesn't have the facilities, doesn't have sewer, doesn't have water. Then you have business zones, which are kind of scattered throughout 138 and 44, and they're kind of overlapped into residential areas. So I think when the zones were all looked at, the planning board decided that this seemed to be the best option. And
Not
Again,
that-
I just,
Not that we like it.
yeah, I
we
mean,
had to pick a zone.
it's our only industrial,
Yeah, it's not
it's our only industrial area that can house the size of facility that could possibly be a medical marijuana facility. It's unfortunate that it's in North Raynham. If it was in South Raynham or somewhere else,
Well, this might be nothing. It might just, I mean, it's not like Reefer Madness in a movie or something. It's gonna probably just be a pharmaceutical company, no different.
I'm only
The-
here because
but-
there are many people that are
Yeah, no, I
concerned and
understand.
upset. And I still thought, I was working late, and I thought, I'm just gonna come in and just listen. I was just gonna listen.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is it might not,
I understand your.
I think it's gonna be so heavily regulated by the Department of Public Health.
The regulations are very
And-
severe.
It's not like it's, marijuana, it's not even looked at like a drug anymore, I don't think, but it's not, I think people are getting bad perceptions. It's just gonna be a manufacturing facility, no different than manufacturing shoes or coats or anything like that. They're just manufacturing marijuana, packaging it and selling it for medical reasons.
When
It's
we-
not
and-
like they're selling drugs.
when we were discussing
Illegal.
it, I think everybody here felt it should be in pharmacies. It should,
Yeah.
they want to grow it, maybe grow it, but not sell it in the area
Yeah.
that they grow it. It should be in pharmacies. And, I think that's where it should be. And like Henry said, well, it's not on the table to put it in pharmacies, so stop talking about it.
Yeah.
And basically, that's that. I mean, it's not our option. So, other than not approving it in industrial zone, I don't think, we've looked at the maps, and there isn't another spot in Raynham that would be able to house it. If we don't put it, Chris made a comment, well, let's put it over here, because there's no water, sewer, or anything else. If we do that, then they're gonna file an appeal to the state, and they're gonna say that we made our area not conducive for them to be able to even get a permit to build it, because it doesn't meet their requirements.
And Marcia, you would ask me that. You would ask me when I went to the selectmen's meeting if we had explored other areas. And we talked about light industrial, but the light industrial area is so narrow, and it's in an even more rural area, that the width is so narrow of that district that with the setbacks,
The setbacks couldn't.
the AG office would see through that in a heartbeat and say, you're prohibiting it while prohibiting it. So our hands are tied a little bit as far as selecting
Excuse me, John, but
location.
I did, this isn't against you and I, of course it's not you and I. I asked you that at the selectmen's meeting, and then after there was some discussion at the selectmen's meeting, after that, there were discussions about adding the moratorium. So it
Correct.
wasn't like just crazy that I asked you that
No,
question.
no, no, but I'm-
I asked you that question because I wanted to know if there were any.
No, and
other zoning
my
issues.
point, Marcia.
All I did was ask
No,
you
no,
that.
but my point, Marcia, was to compliment what he was saying about, about putting something submitting something to the Attorney General that they're not gonna look at, that they can't look at and say, well, you're allowing it, but you're really not allowing it, because they'll just reject it and we'll be back at the drawing board with a moratorium that's expired.
And I think,
Believe me, I know, I submit the bylaws, and it's a lot of work to
Right.
get everything to them.
and I think the selectmen, did come up with a very good idea to put it in designated development district, because I think there's 60,000, 100,000, there's a lot of square footage over in the park that it would just, I think, it could just blend right in. The problem is, we have that same little piece of development district on 138. So if we put that in tonight, or at any time prior to getting 138 fixed, then it's gonna have to be over there. And we don't, to put it at the beginning, right on 138 there, I just think it's, would be,
I just came for comment, I live here.
oh yeah, no,
I just,
that's,
um,
And if the moratorium's granted, it buys us time to take a second
Well,
look
right,
at
well,
it.
that's what.
And this is
that's
more,
what we thought.
I think, to do, in case you don't get a moratorium, you have to take some form of action, and this is gonna back that up. You get the moratorium for another 18 months, you get 2 or 3 more town meetings, you can pull this back and, analyze it a little further, but there hasn't been a lot of
if
time.
both
to
of these
look
are
at
on
it.
the town floor and both of these get approved, if we approve having this in this district and we approve getting asking for a moratorium, how is that, how are you gonna do that?
Very easy.
Well, if you
all
get
we're
the
doing is
moratorium,
definitions
If
and,
you're just asking, you vote and ask for a moratorium.
Right.
If you vote both of these in and you get a moratorium, then the zoning kind of becomes moot until the moratorium's over. It allows you the time to go in and change the zoning.
Even if we implement this bylaw but don't get the moratorium, it doesn't stop us from coming back in the spring.
No,
So,
I
yeah,
understand
so-
that. All right.
So, yeah.
Any other input?
Can I just say one thing? It
Yes.
does take 30 days to submit, we have 30 days to submit to the Attorney General, they have 90 to approve it. That time frame in between, like, say, October 29th, and I get them out as quickly as I can, get it out, depending on how many changes we've got. With that time, which is.
If this gets denied,
No, I mean, if it gets approved.
Oh, okay.
Then it has to go to the Attorney General, but with that time period that we've got to get it to the Attorney General, does that affect anything? I mean, I know it goes back.
no, I
to the town
don't, I don't
meeting
believe so, because
approval.
we've.
So somebody couldn't come in.
No,
before it's even
because the
done.
town, we voted
Back to
within the
the
time
town
period that we
meeting.
were supposed to. We came up with a bylaw that we were supposed to, now it's up in Boston
Right.
waiting to be approved. So no, that wouldn't affect anything.
What if it gets disapproved?
If it gets disapproved, you're on your own. The town's on their own. It could be anywhere.
If it gets
If this gets
disapproved,
disapproved at the town meeting, and the moratorium one gets approved, doesn't mean anything, because now somebody could come in. Just because the moratorium is approved at the town meeting, it still has to go up to Boston for approval, and if that takes 90 days, then in that period of time, you don't have any restrictions.
in
So I could
November
I could
8th.
put it over on anywhere you want. Anybody could come into the town and put it wherever they want.
in
Yeah,
a business.
November 8th.
In a business,
the
I'm sorry, in a
moratorium-
business district.
Yeah, the moratorium ends November 8th. So if there isn't an extension, and even if it takes 90 days to get an extension, you're still operating with no moratorium. Someone could come in and put it in any business, industrial district, so it opens up a good chunk of the town.
And hey, again, I wish more people did get involved like you, Marcia, only because This is what we feel it should go. Should it be in business? Should we just not have it and just let it stay with the state, what the state says it goes in business? Should it just go to business zones?
This isn't any criticism at all.
Oh, no, and we don't take it that way. At our last meeting, I was hoping the room was full tonight. We're only here, it's what we're looking at, and what we think where it should go, looking at all the facts. I don't know, it's just like when selectmen discussed it, and they think it should be in business development district. I don't, I think that's a great idea, but that's secondary, that's gonna be the second place.
If we had had another
We can put
month to 6 weeks, we could have developed an alternative, but it's more complicated because
Well-
you would have to develop an overlay district and amend more parts of the zoning
We've
bylaw.
already looked into that, that's a real problem. So, I guess that's, anybody else, any other input? Burke?
No, and I think Marcia made a very good point about the federal government, and I think that we, along with every other town in the state, are putting an awful lot of effort into something that I don't think is going to happen anyway. I think if somebody does some little thing, the feds might let it go, but somebody puts in a 30 or 40,000 foot building with thousands of plants growing
And I did
It's not
see
gonna
that,
last long.
and I saw that on TV, that the federal government doesn't see this as a business, it's illegal. And I'm just baffled that this is even in front of us, that the states are being asked to do this, when the federal government, they could come in and shut anybody down, and now, what's that gonna do? It's odd. But after them shutting down the federal government, I think the Republican, Democrat altogether should, I think they all should be in a, last night on, I think it was Chronicle, they showed an underground, under a hotel in Virginia, that if there's ever a bomb or a disaster, they all go to this hotel. Well, it was under the cuff for 30 years since it's been built or something. I think that's where they should send all of the people in Washington, send them to there, lock them in there for 6 months. Who comes out and who's alive at the end is our leaders. It's disgusting to see that the government and the states, can't be on the same page, especially for something like this. So, with all that said, to recommend the bylaw
24 and 25.
24 and 25.
Motion to recommend.
Second.
Seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous?
Yes.
Now we have.
John, for the,
Article 26,
which 26 is the moratorium?
moratorium
that's
and the
not-
extension.
That's not a zoning, though. That's got nothing to do with us, right?
Well, yeah,
Public
because it was
hearing?
approved as a zone, the moratorium was approved last spring as a zoning bylaw amendment, so.
Oh, okay.
So,
Section
yeah, you do need to
6.12.
vote favorable.
So, motion was made to, we're asking,
To recommend.
for the,
Moratorium, which is 6 months from November or something.
And no, actually, it would be right to June 30th, it's cleaner that way.
Through June 30th.
2014.
That's what the
2014.
request is gonna be?
Yes.
motion's made and seconded. I think we should, instead of asking the whole board, go down. Russ? Burke? Me? No?
Yeah, I'd
Chris?
vote for it.
Are we still in discussion, or?
No, we're voting.
Yes.
Okay, so it's 4. I said no for the moratorium.
4 favor, 1 no.
Yep. What else?
That's it.
That's it.
On the zoning bylaw amendments, we're done.
Okay. That part's over.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thanks for your input. Wish we had a lot more input. I'm sorry, sir, I didn't get any, I didn't ask if you had any input on the marijuana. Okay. Okay.
Just like that.
John, anything else for town meeting, or we go on to our next?
You can go on to the next step.
All right, Mr. Brennan, discussion for Carlton Street. Please step up, state your name for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Ed Brennan. I'm an attorney with an office at One Church Green in Taunton. I'm here tonight for discussion purposes on a matter that I've been before you sometime this past summer, and I believe was before you last winter. And this is an issue where I'm trying to determine the extent of improvements that the board would require for improving a paper street for 2 lots that are owned by my client. Last time I was in, the board was concerned with the development potential of the area as a whole. So when we were talking about what the extent of the roadway improvement should be for 2 lots and potentially a 3rd lot owned by another person, I've gathered some information about the wetlands in the area that I'd like to share with the board, so you can get an idea.
Give us a plan.
Do you want to post it?
If he can put, it's kind of a small plan, but
Share one?
Wayne, our cameraman, does fantastic things for us, so maybe you can put one on the easel, and Mr. Brennan, do you have one that you could post on the easel there? Just sit there, and maybe he can pick one up. And just, there you go, step away.
I also have the concept plans that were discussed with the board in the past, showing various improvements for this potential site. As you can see from the the wetland layout that I've given you here tonight, the area where the 2 lots are that are owned by my client, the potential, is outlined in the yellow square. Now, the board was wondering if you allowed limited improvement to this road for these 2 lots, who else might be coming in right behind them and asking to do the same thing? It's an issue that I think the board's been confronted with in the past. So this information, as you can see, the area that's in pink would be, I'm not sure why that's there because we're proposing 2 lots, but you can see the pink is the first part of the improvement to this paper street. And what I'm asking the board to see if you could give me some direction about what might be acceptable to the board. I understand it's not a vote and it's really not advisory, but for discussion purposes, could we come in with something limited, such as the hammerhead layout on the bottom of the plan that I've submitted for you to consider for discussion purposes?
Well, before you go on further, if you look at this here, Raymond Ave. Raymond Ave is a dead end, correct?
It looks it.
Raymond Ave right now is a dead end.
It's improved down to that house at the terminus of Raymond
Okay.
Ave, but the other street is a paper.
But there's only one way in Raymond Ave.
That's correct.
So
Is that a regular street width and?
it is, and I took
Raymond Ave?
a ride down Raymond Ave, and Raymond Ave, Jesus, if all the towns in Raynham were as nice as Raymond Ave, you could land an airplane down there. It's
I think
huge.
they just overlaid it when they did the water.
It's
That's what
unbelievable.
they did.
But my question is, you look at Raymond Ave, and if we add Carlton Street to Raymond Ave, are we beyond our
It's not a new subdivision. The street is already there. You're not creating a new street.
Well,
I'm asking you to allow
you
us to improve a street, a paper street that's already there.
But we are creating a street. If we give you permission to put 2 more houses there, we're extending a dead-end street.
I'm not proposing it under subdivision control law. It's a paper street in the town that I'm asking the board to allow us to improve. I think our right to improve it is already there. The question is,
So this
do
is
we
on the
have to-
assessor's map somewhere.
I'm
Carlton
sorry?
Street. Carlton Street
Yeah,
is
I
on,
believe it is, yeah.
is on the assessor's map.
What I'm asking the board is, what is the extent of the improvements that the board would find necessary to put the 2 houses there? I mean, we already have the right to improve paper street. I think there was a Form A actually on this in the early 70s.
So you're asking us what waivers we give you from a regular street?
Obviously, I don't want to build it out to planning board specs for 2 lots, and that just wouldn't make sense. The economics aren't there. The concern of this board was, well, what else could the road be used for if you allow me to waivers? So.
Well,
as you can see,
providing this plan showing all the wetlands, it's very good. You look directly across the street. Now, you're showing in the pink, the driveway.
Yeah, but what I'm suggesting is that whatever the extent of the improvements are.
Goes to the end of his property?
As far as the board would deem to service the 2 lots. Now, would it have to go the entire frontage of that yellow circle on Carlton Street for 2 lots? No, I don't know.
Well, we have 5.6 acres across the street from this gentleman, or from this lot 60. So we have 5.6 acres that could be potentially back in front of us.
That's a Crowley property?
Where does that go to? Be nicer to see more
Yeah.
of that. you know?
Yeah, all that 5, whatever the number on there, isn't all upwards.
All right, so might not be upland, so if they get 2 more house lots over there, so,
Well, this Crowley piece, according to your location map, runs all the way out to the main road. What is it, South Street? Raymond Ave, out to.
Where's that?
Yeah.
That would be South Street.
Yeah.
oh, he's looking at the
The
locus.
locus map.
Yeah, so how many houses could be there?
Sorry.
Half a dozen?
Well, if he can come in off of South Street, why would he come in off of this lane?
I don't know, can you come in off South Street? Maybe there's wetlands up there, I don't know.
That's
I can't really
that's
tell.
probably
You've
their
got a good
house.
piece of wetlands on his 5.8 acre property.
It's
It's
probably
hard,
got a
it's
house
hard
up in the
because
front.
you didn't give us up here to tell.
Yeah, but is there enough land frontage to jump?
Oh.
Yeah.
I think looking at this plan, I think minimum, what we could, I think, looking at the plan that we have in front of us, I think minimum that we could probably envision is 4 lots
On map, on lot 60?
on Carlton Street.
That'd be the
Including
max.
the Crowley lot?
How much
Yeah.
frontage
You're
does the total
assigning 2 to
parcel
the
have?
Crowley lot then, right?
What's the total frontage here in
I don't
area?
know.
The frontage is on this plan.
Okay, so basically there can be,
What's the frontage?
Of the Crowley piece?
Yeah.
It's across the street, it's over here.
no, on this, your piece, it shows there's not enough, there's only enough for 2 lots.
Correct. On my piece, I'm stuck with 2.
Okay, so then Crowley piece looks like there's enough for 2 there too.
I think, well, for purposes of discussion, yes.
All
I
right,
think
so
if
we're
you
talking-
shoe on the second one in, but I can't say it's not possible.
I think they have the frontage, but they, obviously half of this is wetland, so they would have to build the house on this little piece. And I'm saying, yes, I think potentially we could have
4 lots.
4
And
lots.
not
some-
knowing where the buffers extend and how that would affect.
Well, that's
Yeah.
350, so that's just enough for 2 lots with an extra 50 feet.
Yeah.
So if you took 350,
And you're
put it up
limited
here,
to 2?
your 300 only brings you here, there's probably only enough for 1 lot there, just this piece, the dry
Yeah.
piece.
Yours are on the high side, we have 2 lots, so we have
Yeah.
4 lots.
There's not a
So what
heck
kind
of
of
a lot
street
room
do you
there.
want, what kind of street do you want for 4
There's a
lots?
fair amount of, it's showing,
Yes, that would be-
showing
that's-
18,
That's the question.
18 feet of pavement.
But what kind of street do we want for 4 lots? And don't we have to take it all the way down?
Well, I think you don't have to take it all the way down. You have to take it far enough to service his 2 lots. But if Mr. Crowley wanted to pick it up and bring it down to service his lot, I think, maybe that's something he should do. But what I think the board has to look at is, whatever you do, say you do allow this, you anticipate what that other use might be. But I don't think the whole dime has to fall on Mr. Keith. But I think what he does has to be sufficient, so you could add on to it to service.
Well, where's the
discussion,
turnaround
2
for,
lots.
if you just ended there, where's your turnaround?
Well, I think this is,
Well,
no, this is the
hammerheads,
map
yeah.
here. This is
So
what.
this is a full build-out to subdivision regs.
Are you they're talking over here as a cul-de-sac?
That's
Yeah,
correct.
this is only, ignore this, it's really this plan.
So I'm asking for what we're calling
So where
hammerhead
would it be
turnarounds in
housed?
each.
One here and one here?
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh,
That-
okay.
that
So I
is
should ignore
this.
this then.
Yeah, that is this. Let's see, that one right there is this. And
Yeah,
then there'd be one more next to it.
over here.
Yeah. That's correct.
Okay. So if you have one over here, you're taking the street down to the end of your lot, right?
If you require
Pretty close.
the
I mean,
road
you're only gonna be
improved for
shot.
a whole 150 feet.
I mean, it's really not gonna make any difference if you go where you are or to the end. You're just gonna need the fire department to,
Yeah, okay, the
Okay.
cul-de-sac.
Well,
So
I mean,
aren't you coming-
I'm asking for the hammerhead. I don't think we want to build a cul-de-sac. Or that you would need a cul-de-sac.
Where's the-
This one,
where's the
this one right
hammerhead?
here is the hammerhead way, is this concept here.
Show me the hammerhead.
It's the drives, so you could back in and back out.
Is that allowed under our bylaws?
Yeah, it's whatever
we've done it before.
It's what we decide.
That's another cul-de-sac up there?
That's subdivision rules and regs. This would be building it out as if it was a,
Regular.
full-scale subdivision. So the issue is, would the board consider some waivers so that we don't have to build it to planning board specs? And with the board, and I understand, I haven't been to the fire department yet because, we've just been getting this other information together. Understanding the input from the safety officials in town, would the board consider the
Well,
waivers?
I would, before I think this board even goes any further, I would suggest that you do get a letter from the fire department. Because 2 years ago, I was in a store and I got a phone call from the chief, kind of upset with the planning board, saying that we're not making our roads wide enough because we had a lot of snow. So I would be really curious to see how he felt
42.
on,
No.
does a hammerhead work? Does a full, do we need it? Okay, reduce size road, butter turnaround.
Layout's 40, right?
Um,
Well, that is my next stop. I just want to make sure I'm not going to run into a cement wall
40-foot
if I come back to the board with some,
Well, it already exists.
requesting some waivers. I'm not asking for any type of, straw vote or anything tonight, but the issue before, as in the last time, is what's the potential for the neighborhood. So
And
trying
I'm
to
glad,
address that.
and I'm glad you brought this plan in, because it does show a huge amount of wetlands. And I'm sure somebody's not gonna run out here and go looking for more land to build off of Carlton Street, except, maybe one or two houses across the street.
What is his obligation as to the Crowley land?
None.
I mean, you might be
What
better
is our
off if you want to
obligation
stop 4
as
houses
to-
and put gravel in.
None, but if he wants a building permit, then he might have to help out Mr. Crowley. And it happens on Terrell Road, how many times?
Chris, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
If you wanted to, keep it down, and if the guy came in to do 2 more, and you wanted improvements, you better off just probably maybe going gravel, and then making him, if he's gonna improve it, then really
Oh,
improve it.
what about what the fire department said? Let's just stop it here, let's go.
Yeah, they need to
Let's
look at
hear
this
from
and
the
see if
fire
they can get a truck
department.
in and out.
And we'll
All right.
talk after you get.
That will be my
after-
next stop,
after you-
and I'll ask to be
and
put
then
on
come
the
back.
agenda
There's-
sometime in November.
Yeah, there's new water down there. They just put in the water main.
Yeah, because again, that would be I would like to see what, the chief's gonna be recommending or requiring, what he feels.
I mean, even if I came in with the road improvement plan without going to the chief, it's gonna go to him anyways.
Yeah, but
So,
let's do it beforehand.
I know,
but a
I
lot
wanna
of-
know the
You
answer
just
ahead
said
of time.
something.
A lot of times, they don't, you send it to all the departments, they don't respond, and like Dan said, then they come back and say something to you after when they never
You got the
respond.
big one?
I kept this one, yes.
All right, let me have that one back, because I don't think, it'll
I mean, I
probably
actually
be a
don't-
little different when it comes in. This is like concepts.
Keep something.
Yeah, keep the aerial.
I don't,
Yeah.
do we even have a file on this?
You need that?
I don't even
Okay.
think.
Well, we're only here for discussion, nothing's been filed.
I think
Oh, I haven't
there's something
anything-
in my desk, it's not an official file.
Yeah, but you referred to it in a minute. so-
Okay, all right, that's fine.
So that's what I would recommend, you go to the fire chief, and again, and I understand what you're saying about, you would have to go there anyway, but for us to,
Well, I guess that was in response to your comment that the chief was questioning the road widths that you've been allowing, all the plans have gone to the fire chief in the process.
Well, I think he was talking about
Exactly.
subdivision roads with a dozen lots that after they plow are a little narrow.
Yeah, so
They
let-
used to
we'll
have-
just-
and that's a standard subdivision road, reduced down, I think it was a
Yeah, we reduced.
cluster or
That
whatever.
was probably the Finch Farm was he complaining about?
No, it was-
Whippoorwill? Whippoorwill's now.
it was right across from Gardner Street. The Ellis property.
Oh, yeah, that was narrowed down.
So,
Yeah.
and again, if he thinks that's narrow,
Well,
then to me, that's the minimum.
That's because of who was doing the plowing.
you know,
Let's
so I
look at
guess,
those.
I guess if we start there, then I think we can open it up and start looking at, okay,
That
what's
was the
acceptable for
developer doing the
turnaround
plowing,
and
was
for
plowing it.
road width and go from there.
Okay, I'll come back and see you in
Are
November.
we doing the fees tonight?
We are.
I would just like to give you my views before I leave.
Yep.
The Board of Planning Zone is, planning board is, the Red Sox are also, and I need some traveling time to get there.
Let's go.
So if we could just quickly look at it.
Most definitely.
My
Go right
views are
ahead.
Real simple.
Yep.
Table 1, I think it's okay as is. Table 2, I think we should cut everything in half. That means the base fee in half, plus all the additional fees are in half. That's for preliminary, not that we get many preliminary Form Bs, but I think we're too high, especially, and John did a great job giving us comps on this. And you may even want to cut it a drop more than a half, so, but a minimum of a half. Table 3, definitive subdivisions. Our base fee of 10,000 is absurd. I think it should be 1,000, and then keep all the additional fees as is. I think they're all reasonable, if you cut down our base fee to 1,000. 10,000 is absurd. Table 4, special permits. I think our fee is too high. I think it should be reduced to $750 to $1,000, and I think the rest is okay, as is. Table 5, site plan review. I think it's okay as is. I would leave it as is. And with that, I'm leaving. Those are my views.
All right, where's the, we do have fees that he worked on that we were revising. Did,
I never got them. I spent time on these.
No, these are just what they are today.
Yes.
Yeah.
I put together a whole fee schedule that I sent him that I thought he filled out
I thought,
and
yeah.
sent
Well,
to everybody
none
for
of us
review.
have seen it, so.
I thought I got this for you.
Yeah, I got this for review, and I spent time on it.
No, this, we did, everybody did
Oh,
get
you think
this.
there's more?
And then and then I forwarded him back to send, because he asked for everybody's comments, so I filled out what I felt
Oh,
was comments, and I thought that was sent through, because looking at this, this is like starting from the beginning.
Yeah, I recall that too.
We sent out,
I don't know, we're gonna ask John.
John,
Yes, sir.
you sent this fee schedule of all the different towns, and you did a great job itemizing all of this. And then you asked for comments. I sent back what I felt the fee schedule
Yes.
should be.
I could go print out a copy.
Well, I thought that's what they were reviewing.
No, I reviewed this.
Because we're gonna, no, along with this, because you
No.
asked for comments, I thought everybody,
I thought they did get it.
No.
Okay.
I don't recall.
because if we don't have something to go by, now we're looking at each
It was
item.
That's the only other thing I
That's
have.
that's the second one that went out. But yeah, I thought I did that. I could have
Did
sworn I
anyone
sent
get
Dan's comments out.
Did you get it?
I think I recall, well, no, I recall Dan having comments in the email when he
I sent
replied.
out,
Yeah,
I
'cause I
spent a
sent
lot
the
of time
email to-
looking at all
yeah.
the fees,
Well,
and
maybe I misplaced it.
I
but-
sent out all of the,
I don't have.
What were your comments on these?
oh, yeah, no, it
Would
was,
you like me to go print out copies, Dan?
Well, I'm leaving.
most
You have
definitely,
my-
we got your comments, so
my
that's,
input.
that's fine. I think,
I did send them by email to everybody.
okay, can we have a copy, so, because I need that to go, I don't even remember what,
Do you want me
Have
to
a
get
good
that
night.
now?
Yep.
Gentlemen, thank you.
See you later, enjoy the game.
Going back to the preliminary subdivision, am I reading this right? I understand the base fee. And then it's $1,000 for what, the first lot,
1,000 per lot,
per lot?
$2,000 for lot 2 through 25.
So if it's 1,000 per lot,
That's a one lot. For a one lot subdivision, it's 1,000.
Okay, that's what I would, okay.
That's
how I
where
would
2 to
read it.
25, so a little two lot is gonna cost the same amount as a 25 lot. Oh,
But
units.
then you've got $3,000 for 16 to 20 lots.
When you get this sheet,
Yep.
I spent a lot of, and I can't,
I mean, that's a
Because
lot.
we-
Because I don't understand
It's
what
a
we're
lot of
doing
money
now.
for a preliminary.
Right, well, if you look at it, I really simplified it, because
Okay,
if
I
you,
like
if you look at, we have not had a preliminary plan submitted since we changed our rules and regs, or since we changed our fee schedule. Because why would you have, go through a preliminary plan and pay all this money? The whole thing's, and it's funny, because when you're looking at it, and you start thinking back of all the plans, when we used to be busy, we stopped getting prelims when we started, this all changed. Before this, we used to get prelims all the time, and we used to hash everything out, and then they'd go back and give us the
Because, I
definitive.
mean, you spend all this money on a prelim, and they can come back in, we can change our mind.
And then,
So it's a waste of time.
exactly, because the problem with the prelim is they come in front of us, and we look at each other and we say, well, we're not voting on it. We don't vote on prelims.
Yeah, I agree.
So if you look at the fee schedule, we'll never have a prelim.
No.
Yes.
So
So I wiped all that out.
So what do you want to charge for?
Well, again, I didn't bring my.
Do we even want to go by lots, or do we just want a fee and?
I'm gonna have
we
to,
charge that basically?
I'm gonna have to ask you to do the minutes until he comes up, because
Okay.
if I say anything, like I said, I spent a lot of time on that, and I just don't remember what I put down on.
Okay. What is the date of the meet, August 15th?
Okay, we have, on the August 15th,
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the amended minutes.
okay. Motion made and seconded to approve the amended minutes. Seconded, all in favor?
Aye. Make a motion, we waive the reading and approve the minutes of September 5, 2013.
All in favor?
Aye. Make a motion, we waive the reading and accept the minutes of September 19, 2013.
All in favor? Aye.
Well, we have an invoice here.
You have one.
Do we want to sign this now, or do we want to ask them for their breakdown on this
No,
one, too?
that's niche.
Okay.
Did we ever get an answer back on that?
John got an email and then a phone call, and he, apparently the engineers thought they were complaining about nothing. The applicants were complaining about nothing, that they were, the fee was suitable, but he is gonna do a explanation of the fees, because John
Yes, they
told him
did.
that was that's,
Preset.
the applicants weren't asking, it was the planning board was asking for explanation. So apparently at our next meeting, he's gonna send, he's gonna have something explaining it, because, again, if you look at it and you read it, it does seem excessive, but, that's what we're reading, so let's see what he says, what he actually did out there. And then we'll see.
What's this?
Maureen,
Yes.
that's all we're,
Well, we have something on VW Metro.
yeah, that's his list of items. I just received that today, and I haven't had a chance to run through all of them.
Okay.
To see what was done. John
Is there one missing here?
John went out
No, I
there.
had to use two
They got
counts to
their
do one bill.
temporary occupancy
Oh.
permit
That's why
today,
it's
and they
3
only
months.
asked for 30-day, not a 60-day, because they do want it to be done, so I think a lot of these were already being taken care of, so I'll touch base with John on that. Now, I don't want to rush these fees, and I'm not sure if we They will be on our, if I table them again, they will be on our next meeting. And I will make sure John emails everybody, because if you, I want you to look at them, and now that they're in front of you, don't put it in your packet. Take it out of your packet. Oh, good. Because if you put it in your packet, you're only going to throw them all out when you get home. So keep this, review it, and John will forward everybody
I'm willing to do it.
the email. I know, but I want,
Did you send the email?
yes, I think yeah,
We
because
sent
he
it to
sent it.
John, and John supposedly sent it on. I don't remember getting it.
Yes, so, because there was a lot of work to go into it, and I do want everybody's, there might be something that I'm not seeing.
No, I remember getting that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I really want everybody to look at it.
I mean, it's not like it's a hurry. We've had one subdivision.
Exactly.
Hayways Farm's the only one we've had since 2005.
Right, but I just want to get it done, because it's been,
And look where that got us.
Yeah, you know.
yeah, I didn't want
Is that all
to,
done finally?
I didn't want to review it when
Withdraw, yeah.
you were out,
Moving off
and
it.
Chris was out, and, so I wanted everybody to be, part of it, because it is a big decision to look at it and review it, so. We're gonna table the fees. Henry had some good
Yeah.
input, but I'd like to see it on paper. And I think if we can all, between now and the next meeting, if we can all correspond with email, and just send them out, that way there.
You
And
want
I
it on
know
the
Bert,
7th?
yeah, why don't we? And I know, you'll do it tonight, but there's a lot to go through, each thing. So, does everybody agree with that? We'll table it till the 7th?
Okay.
All right. With that said, we have nothing else in front of us. Russ, you all set? Any comments? Burke?
All set?
Oh, geez, and you said you weren't going to be here the 7th?
No.
Okay, so can you please forward all your input for the,
But I think what Henry had to say, again, just reasonable in the minutes.
exactly. So, because if I have that, then we will vote on it on the
What,
7th.
let me tell you, preliminary, what do you people generally think?
Yeah, we're gonna check them out next time. But that's good.
Just a base fee, or do we really care about how many lots there are? Or-
Okay,
And
see what I...
do we want preliminaries? Do we want people to come in and talk?
Right.
Because we have a lot of people come in, like tonight. This is
Well,
the
this was
third
discussion.
or fourth time.
Right.
For discussion. But, well, should we make them put in a preliminary and we get paid for these discussions? I'm not saying yes or no, I'm just asking the question.
Okay, well, if you look at what I did with Mike, everything that I had was in red.
Okay?
And if you can, put the two side by side, and you can see what on the prelims, I had $500 as a base fee and $50 a lot.
Okay.
And if you look at, and that's it, $50 a lot instead of going through all of the,
Yep.
it's $50.
Okay.
And if you look at it, and if they want to come in 2 or 3 times for discussion, so what? We get it out of the way.
Well, they come in as a prelim and discuss it.
Exactly, and
Instead
not
of just
discussion.
coming in for discussion, yeah.
Because I think coming in for discussion kind of interferes with the whole board. I mean, how long did we spend on discussion with Mr. Brennan on that plan?
Well,
Yeah.
again, this is like the fourth
I'm
time.
always very hesitant about something like this that happened tonight, because what they try and do is try and kind of feel the board out to see, oh, well, I want to get a sense of what kind of waivers you give me. Well, that's.
Well, again, if it was a prelim, it would have,
Right.
it can go to the sewer.
I mean,
It can
it's
go
not
to
bad if it's
fire.
5 or 10 minutes, but somebody, the citizens of the town, they want to
Absolutely,
you know.
not a problem at all, but this has been in front of us 3 times,
Yeah.
like Burke said. and
Yeah.
So, but if you're making it for,
Make it
50,
reasonable.
reasonable, they're gonna
Yeah.
do it. That's what they used to do all the time. And then if
You
you,
could even direct them that way, say, well, we'd rather you come with a prelim.
Exactly.
so what we decided is, because they're gonna get this by email, if you could send this out even to Henry, just so everybody's gonna take this, review it.
Oh, and just to let you know, Dan, I did forward this on the 13th. I'll do it again tomorrow.
Okay,
So.
but just, yeah, do it again, now
Yep.
that it's up front, everybody's here.
Yep.
Everybody heard it. We are voting on this on the 7th, Burke's not gonna be here, but he's gonna do his review.
Okay.
On the definitive, you've got the base fee, and then you get an additional fee. The additional fee of $500 is, how's that different from the base fee?
Which one are you referring to, bro?
You're looking at the,
Definitive subdivision, Form C.
That must have been 500 per something.
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
Oh,
I don't
is
think
that
you need to
500,
bother.
is that 500 related to what you mentioned, Dan, about the extra 500 if they don't have a Form B? Then
No.
that 500.
No, because that's 2,000
No,
with a
that's-
Form B, 2,500
I think that's
without.
probably 500 per lot. And 300 per linear foot, 450 per.
no,
linear-
$3 a linear foot.
450 per linear foot. for
$4.50
cluster,
per
'cause it's
linear
less
foot for
road.
cluster.
Are we getting them per lot?
Is that 500
and
per lot
linear
that's
foot,
supposed
or
to be?
just
Because
one
these
and
other
two?
ones were 1,000 a lot.
Well, that's probably, I left out the lot.
Yeah, that's probably per
So you're
lot.
gonna get 500 per lot.
Yeah, that's what that is.
And $3, and again, I was looking at linear footage instead of doing subdivisions, because that's what, if it's a big subdivision, okay, that's where the linear footage.
That's how Bridgewater does it.
And that's what I looked.
Taunton does that too, I think.
There's a lot of them
Lot of them
that
do,
do
but,
it that
okay,
way. Fall
we
River
want-
does it that
but-
way.
Dan, you mentioned to me on the phone when we talked that relates it to, basically, in the grand scheme of things, what the town is interested in is how much are we gonna maintain once this is done?
Exactly.
And that's where the linear.
I have a subdivision that's a proposed subdivision, so I took that plan. I'm gonna be paying more by this linear footage because I have longer roads than I would if I went by the original fee.
So,
So my linear, but the town has to maintain those roads longer, so that's why it's there. But it's
so
gonna be,
are you gonna get them $500 per lot and?
well, that's what I had,
$3
that's
per
what
linear
that's
foot?
what I had down.
Okay.
But the main fee
Comes way down.
was,
Yep.
from 10,000 to 2,000, so
Right.
the overall package was less money.
Okay.
And
And it
so-
does encourage them to do a Form B, because they save $500.
Exactly. So I guess if everybody reviews those, put in your comments, please, I really want everybody's input.
Okay.
And at the next meeting, we are gonna vote on those.
So we're doing a public hearing on the 7th?
We can do a public hearing on the 7th.
Okay.
And be done with it. Because we couldn't vote on them tonight, we can review them, but then we would be asked to have a public hearing. So, with that said, Chris, all set?
Yep.
Okay. Meeting adjourned.